What does a relationship look like between a Type 7 enthusiast and a Type 9 peacemaker? Well, let's start off by talking about a few things that they have in common. The most significant thing that 7s and 9s have in common is their generally positive attitude. This informs almost everything they do, from how they interact with other people, to how they show up for work, and most importantly, how they deal with painful situations. If we take a look at the harmonic triad, which groups every Enneagram type based on their preferred coping mechanism, then you'll see that 2s, 7s, and 9s are all in the positive outlook group. That means that these types can often look unaffected by major setbacks, a sudden loss, and of course, any relationship tension. But more on that later. At their core, 7s and 9s share this bright spirit that makes them pretty much game for anything, since they can adapt to unusual situations, different cultures, and just odd people in general. Now, their social behaviors can look even more identical if the 9 has a strong social instinct, because that draws them out of their daydreams and into more direct, engaging interactions with other people. That's why 9s mistype as 7s all the time, and it's also why one of the most common romantic partners for the 7 is the Type 9 peacemaker. Furthermore, 7s and 9s can also have an 8-wing, which adds a little bit of spice to both personality types, as they usually bond over a sharper sense of humor, a stronger desire for physical intimacy, and even a little bit of a competitive spirit sometimes. But even if the 8-wing makes this couple a little bit more punchy, they still prefer to keep things light and playful as much as possible. After all, 7s believe in going with the flow, and 9s believe in maintaining the status quo, and those mindsets not only rhyme, but also create this natural agreement to just roll with whatever life brings their way. Although this couple does share a few points of connection that may disrupt their otherwise easygoing acceptance of life. First, 7s can have a 6-wing, and 9s disintegrate to the Type 6 loyalist when they're feeling stressed or insecure. What that means for this couple is that anxiety can often fuel their decision-making based on their level of health and maturity. Next, 9s can have a 1-wing, and 7s disintegrate to the Type 1 reformer when they're feeling stressed or insecure. What that means for this couple is that they can have an overly idealistic perspective about what's possible or about what should be done, which can then make them a bit resentful of the people and things that fall short of those expectations. Now, the flip side of all that potential anxiety and resentment is that it can also motivate this couple to take practical actions to improve their life, rather than just numbing themselves with endless entertainment and comfortable routines. All right, I just want to pause there and acknowledge that I have just skimmed over a ton of nuanced Enneagram theory. So if you want to learn more about the wings, or the movements of integration and disintegration, please be sure to check out the complete guide videos that I've got linked in the description below. All right, that's enough about shared traits. Time to zoom in on what specifically attracts the Type 7 enthusiast to the Type 9 peacemaker. The first thing that normally attracts the Type 7 enthusiast to the Type 9 peacemaker is the 9's willingness to go wherever the 7 leads. While 7s don't necessarily crave being the classic authority figure in a relationship, they're still one of the most assertive Enneagram types, alongside the Type 3 achiever and the Type 8 challenger. The main difference, though, between 7s and other assertive types is that 7s prefer that no one be in charge. That way the group can just go with the flow, and whoever has the best idea wins. Now, it just so happens that 7s usually think they have the best idea, and 9s are so deferential that they'll follow whoever has the most clear sense of direction. Now, on top of being super agreeable, 9s are also incredibly adaptable and open-minded, which makes them willing to follow the 7 into all sorts of unknown or unplanned situations. And that's a pretty attractive trait for 7s that are fine diving head first into all sorts of crazy experiences, because they're confident that even if things turn into a total nightmare, they'll just end up with a great story to tell that'll make the whole thing worth it. Many other Enneagram types would probably grow impatient or irritable with the 7 dragging them into all their half-baked ideas, but not the 9. 9s see their loved ones in an almost unrealistically positive light, which is a major turn on for 7s that tend to see themselves in an unrealistically positive light. The 9 basically mirrors the 7's high self-image and makes them feel incredibly seen and appreciated for who they feel they are. It also helps them feel safe taking risks or making huge mistakes without fear of repercussion, because the 9 is just so patient and forgiving of the 7's brash behavior. All right, one last point of attraction for more mature 7s in this relationship is the sense of calm, quiet stability that 9s bring to the home. Healthy 7s find the 9's presence incredibly soothing because it helps calm their overactive mind, focus their attention and become fully present to whatever or whoever they're with. Furthermore, the nine's naturally modest and even altruistic desires go a long way in helping the more self-interested 7 feel more content with the simple things in life, rather than constantly anticipating their next exciting yet unfulfilling experience. All right, those are just a few things that 7s often find attractive or endearing about the Type 9 Peacemaker. Time to shift gears and talk about what 9s find uniquely attractive about the Type 7 Enthusiast. The first thing that 9s are usually attracted to about 7s is the way they channel their positive energy into tangible life experiences, aka they do cool shit. 9s are usually great at staying positive, but they're also great at staying put. So the 7's more action-oriented mindset is a huge blessing for the 9 that often gets stuck in the imagination phase of their planning. If we take a quick look at the triad centers, you'll see that 9s are the impinged type of the gut or body center, which means they avoid taking action so that they can live in this mixture of the head and the heart, aka daydream mode. They do this because they're afraid that taking action is going to disrupt their comfortable or familiar environment, with which they've become very attached. However, the 9's biggest regrets in life often come from the fact that they've just been too complacent or too numb to go after that beautiful daydream of an authentically passionate and fulfilling life. That's why it's such a profound gift when the 7 pulls the 9 out of their safe little cocoon and shows them how capable they are of turning their imagination into a reality. Healthy 7s can also help teach the 9 that their greatest gifts will come from imposing their will on their environment rather than letting their environment impose its will on them. 9s also learn from the 7 that they don't have to become some unnaturally combative or aggressive person to get what they want. They can just stay persistent and enthusiastic in their pursuit of what matters to them, and eventually the right people and the right opportunities will come their way. Not only does the 7's confidence help motivate the more modest 9's pursuit of their passion, but it also opens them up to entirely new experiences as well. 7s are often the consummate Renaissance person that enjoys absorbing all sorts of information and experiences that make them capable of talking to just about anyone about anything. This kind of self-assured self-development is a major point of attraction, if not inspiration, for the 9 that craves personal development but has a hard time investing in their own life experiences. Ultimately, 7s give the 9 all sorts of permission to live their best life and to feel free tagging along with the 7 whenever they're in need of some excitement or inspiration. Alright, those are just a few things that typically attract the Type 9 Peacemaker to the Type 7 Enthusiast. Now it's time to talk about this couple's least favorite C word, conflict. Hey there, friend. Looks like you're a little more than halfway through this Enneagram relationship episode, which means it's a great time to not only watch this fancy little neon graphic float off into the distance, but to hit those like and subscribe buttons, you know? You know what I mean? You know those buttons that are sitting right there? Don't be coy, you know where they are. You know, if you're feeling non-committal, you can just hit the like button. It's still really helpful. Okay, let's get back to it. Conflict between 7s and 9s is mostly about conflict avoidance, rather than any sort of direct aggression. A lot of this goes back to what I said at the start of the episode about both 7s and 9s being in the positive outlook group of the harmonic triad. Both 7s and 9s are masters at reframing a difficult or painful experience as something that was actually beneficial or even enjoyable. They're also great at minimizing the pain of a major loss by refocusing their attention on a more enjoyable emotion or stimulating activity. Now, this can be a real gift when these types are healthy, as they help foster a sense of hope, joy, and comfort to people facing their darkest moments. But the tricky thing about this coping mechanism is that it often turns into a mutual avoidance of the many significant issues that need fixing within the relationship. What's even more problematic for the 7-9 couple in particular is that their avoidance of negative emotions drives them in opposite directions. So 7s go running out into the world in search of a new exciting distraction from whatever's going on at home, and 9s go running into themselves in search of a peaceful yet imaginary place to hide. Now, while all this is going on, both partners are telling themselves that everything's fine. There's no need to worry. It's all going to work itself out. Now, as distance grows between these two types, so does this sense of resentment, because neither the 9 nor the 7 tends to think that they're the one doing anything wrong. 7s are also lively and engaging enough that it's easy for them to convince other people that they'd be tons of fun to be in a relationship with, and any tension that exists is probably because their partner's a real stick in the mud. Nines, on the other hand, are so patient and forgiving that it's clear to their friends that the 7 must be the one that's really unhealthy in the relationship. The more support this couple gets from their separate social groups or family members just makes them even more stubborn when it comes to finding a middle ground where both people can own their fair share of blame for the poor condition of the relationship. Now, the big red flag for this couple is based on how much time they spend imagining a different life with a different partner. While 7s are far more likely to make the jump to someone new first, 9s will essentially cut themselves off from the 7 in order to spark the 7's departure so the 9 can then feel at peace with moving on to someone else. But hey, all that is just one possible outcome for a couple that's determined not to work on their core issues. So on that note, let's transition to a little practical advice to help the 7-9 couple have their healthiest relationship possible. And I assume I'm mostly talking to the 9s out there at this point because it's been, a little over 7 or 8 minutes. So the 7 probably tapped out a while ago. I'm kidding, 7s. You know I always pick on you because I know you can take it. All right, let's get to it. Okay, the first piece of advice I'd give this couple is for the 9, and it's to make sure that you spend time doing something that you alone are uniquely passionate about. 9s have this tendency to fall into the background of a more assertive or energetic person's life, so you're super prone to letting the 7 make every directional life decision for you rather than picking your own destination or activity and then letting the 7 come alongside you. This can be as simple as an artistic outlet you enjoy, like music or painting, or something more consuming like a career path that you find extremely fulfilling. Whatever it is, pursuing your authentic interests and developing your own unique skill sets will help subvert your more codependent tendencies, which will also help the 7 feel like they're not just your tour guide in life. Now, when it comes to 7s in this relationship, the kindest thing you can do is slow down and pay attention. The 9 is never going to move as fast as you want them to, and sometimes their passive indecision is going to feel like an anchor weighing your speedy little spirit down. But the faster you move without considering the 9, the more you push them into the background of not only your life, but the background of the relationship itself. Now, when 7s are mature and grounded, they integrate many traits that are more characteristic of the Type 5 investigator. To me, those Type 5 traits of a calm, present, and curious mind are the 7's greatest tools for not only making the 9 feel more valued in the relationship, but also in restoring the 7's sense of intrigue with the 9 they fell in love with. 7s can get so used to fun hitting them in the face that they often forget that their true gift is joy, which is like this deep sense of delight and appreciation for things just the way they are. And it's a lot easier to delight in things and people when we slow down long enough to really experience them. All right, my last bit of advice is for both partners, and it's to create and maintain some kind of recurring activity together. That can be a weekly date night or going on weekend hikes or pretty much anything that creates a safe, consistent space where you have the opportunity to share what's really going on inside your heart and mind. I'm mostly saying that because 9s really love a routine and 7s love filling their schedules with fun activities. So finding that mixture is what helps bridge the gap between two people who really don't want to have a forced sit-down conversation about their issues. However, that's often what this couple needs more than anything. So if those playful routines don't create a safe space for some healing conversations, then guess what? It's time for therapy! Hey, turns out free YouTube advice isn't as helpful as paying a trained professional to help guide you through your incredibly delicate relationship issues. And speaking of being unhelpful, it's time for the final segment of the episode, which is, as always, the patented YGAT relationship rating system. First up on the YGAT relationship rating system is the spice meter. And whenever you've got two positive outlook types in one relationship, you're just not going to have that much spice. So definitely rating this as a mild to no spice couple. Next up is the power meter. And while the energy of the 7 could pair well with an integrated 9 taking on that type 3 charisma, they're just way more fun-loving than they are ambitious. So I'm going to put them right in the middle at productive. That leaves us with the fun meter, and that is where the 7-9 couple really shines. So I'm going to put them 3/4 of the way over in between international escapades and 90s spring break. Luckily, the 9's more reserved energy levels keep the 7 a bit more balanced, or else they'd really be getting into some trouble. All right, folks, there you have it. The 7-9 Enneagram pairing. An almost no spice, somewhat productive, and super fun-loving couple. That's a wrap on this Enneagram relationship episode for 7s and 9s. If you're getting off here, then I will say thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for tolerating my sass. And please, if you wouldn't mind, hit the like and subscribe buttons on your way out. But hey, if you're sticking around for more Enneagram goodness, then I have got plenty of relationship themed content for you to choose from right here, as well as some more lighthearted content if you're feeling frisky. Take your pick.